Okay, let me know if we are live. Am I clear?
Yes, we are live.
It's not dark.
Yes, we are live. We are live already.
Okay.
So, good day, good morning, all. Thank you for coming to the health show this morning. This is Pharmacist Ezekiel again, and today we have a very, very interesting topic. We have two interesting things today. First topic is interesting, and secondly, we have a very interesting personality that if you have been following the health show, you should know him by now. I don't think I have to introduce him anyway, but he will introduce himself. So we're going to talk about sex, all about sex, safe sex. You know, this is a period where everyone wants to have sex. I don't know what is going on. Everybody just wants to have sex. Everybody just wants. So we want to know what is sex, why is this recent rush for sex, and how to prevent diseases that come along with sex. Now, this normally this live stream ought to be for married people, but I know some unmarried people will find this information useful. I don't know how, but it's fine. So, to our guest, Thomas David, what exactly is sex? Can you break it down for our audience and those of us that are watching from our home?
Thank you very much, Pharmacist Ezekiel, for this privilege to be on the head show this evening. I'm really glad to be here, and I want to appreciate the work you're doing. I think you're doing a really great job, and this channel has been able to enlighten a lot of persons on issues relating to health. I'm no stranger to this show, even if you've not seen me, but I've been here once, and you've had my name, Black David. As you can see, I am black. So that's true. But all that is that they say Black David has been saying, disregard. I'm going to give you the real information today. My name is pharmacist Eneye David Ajayi. I'm a pharmacist, like I said, and I graduated from the University of Benin. But currently, I'm doing my PhD in pharmaceutical sciences at Texas A&M University here in the United States. Then back to your question, what is sex? I would want to rephrase the question, what is the act of sex? The act of sex is any form of sexual contact between two persons. Just take note of how I'm going to be very gradual about the definition. Between two persons, and this form of sexual contact could be it could involve the penetration of the penis of the man into the vagina of the woman, or the penetration of the penis of the man into the anus of the woman. Sex could also be any form of sexual contact that involves the contact of a person's genitalia to another person's genitalia. It could also be the form of a person's contact, either their hands or any part of their body, to the genitals of another person as in oral sex. So I'll just recap to the definition and give you the instances that can be regarded as sex. The penis penetrating the vagina, the normal straight sex that we know, and also penis into the anus, what is regarded as anal sex, and also the mouth of an individual being introduced to the genitalia of another woman, which we regard to as oral sex, and also the contact of two genitalias, which could be seen among lesbians, will also be regarded as sex. Also, things like the introduction of the hand or any part of the body into the vagina or the anus are also regarded as sex. So this just covers the broad definition of what sex can be regarded as. To come down and be more simpler to people who might not understand these complex words I've used now, or to come to what we use every day or what we hear every day as pharmacists. I'm very sure even you, Ezekiel, you must have had in your practice as a pharmacist, people use the word knack, or they say fuck, or what they say in a more milder term, sleep with. All these have been used to describe the act of sex. But basically, the definition is very broad and could involve a lot of activities. Yeah, this is just the general overview of what the act of sex can be described as or defined as. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I like your definitions. I like those local words you use. You know, the most recent and frequent one is sleep with. You know, when people say, this man slept with this woman, or this boy slept with this girl. I think that word is also was it collected from the Bible? Sleep with. To sleep with somebody. Was it adapted from the Bible? Because I don't know how that was. It's quite
I
mild and it's okay.
don't know if it's adapted from the Bible, but I think it's a more if you don't want to be too raw, don't want to be too, sound nice
Yeah,
about it,
yeah,
to sleep with.
yeah,
But another very
yeah.
good one you could say make love. That's
Make love.
that's
Make love. That's for only people who are happily having it. There are a lot of
happily
people who are
married.
not
Thank
happy.
you. Thank you.
So they are not making love. Those are making quarrel or making hate. Also, back to our next question. So, are there any sicknesses that could be transferred through sex? And if there are, I don't know how do you think we can escape those sicknesses?
Okay, thank you very much. As a matter of fact, uh, illnesses or sicknesses or diseases that come as a result of sex or the act of sex are very many. So to answer your question, yes, there are sicknesses that could be contracted, that someone could get infected with through the process of sex, and these are known as sexually transmitted infections, or you could also refer to it as sexually transmitted diseases. That means these diseases can be contracted through the act of sex. And when I say through the act of sex, it could be any of the processes of sex that I've described in my earlier definition of sex. So some of these illnesses are life-threatening, while some are just mild, while some are lifelong. So it is important for us to know that in as much as sex is a pleasurable act and it's also what is ordained by God, but if it's done in the wrong way, it will also bring about some life-threatening and lifelong illnesses and also some maybe acute illnesses also. So some of example of these diseases, I'll just make a brief summary. I know like there are many out there. There are some that are less popular. For example, bacterial vaginosis, chlamydia, pelvic inflammatory disease. Not most persons will know about this or the names. They might have the symptoms, but they wouldn't know that this is the name they are called. But they're actually sexually transmitted diseases and they can be contracted through the act of sex. And these are less popular, but the most popular one that everybody knows is HIV. That is human immunodeficiency virus, which we know is a
Yeah,
lifelong disease that cannot be treated but can only be managed, and it can be contracted through the act of sex. Could either be through the act of anal sex or regular straight sex. All other forms of sex, depending on the situation, maybe if there is a cut or if there's an introduction of body fluids, could also result to the transmission of the HIV virus. Also, the one that's very popular, which everybody know on the street, is gonorrhea. You might have seen
gonorrhea.
instances, yes, we might have seen instances where you just come after, in quote, like I said, you knock lady, then you want to go and urinate, then it's as though there is fire burning in your penis. So those are the
Fire
symptoms.
burning in my.
Yeah. So these are the symptoms of gonorrhea. Other most popular ones also include syphilis, yeah, and syphilis, and that in men, syphilis could be a little bit not too symptomatic, but if left untreated, could lead to complications such as even as blindness or eye related complications also. So these are some of the illnesses that can be contracted through sexual intercourse.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I should go
Sorry.
on and also answer the how you can prevent these illnesses.
Yeah. Before you answer that, how you can prevent, I want to really ask something. Like, how do you know you have been infected after sex? Is it immediately? Because I've had some patients come into the pharmacy and they're like, I just have sex and I just need something quickly to help me not get out. Like, you don't have any infection yet, you don't know yet. So how do people know that they have been infected? Do they did their penis start swelling? Does it start itching?
Thank
Do they start what at least one or two? Just give one or two symptoms that people know
you
that they
very
have
much.
been infected.
Thank you very much for that question. Like I've said, there are different kinds of sexually transmitted infections, and each of them come with their particular symptoms and signs. So I wouldn't want to just go broad now and talk about these things in detail because some of our audience might not understand these things. But we'll try as much as possible to break it down into simpler terms that they can understand. First of all, When you have sex with a woman, maybe like an unprotected sex, it doesn't mean you automatically have infection, but you potentially stand a chance of having an infection. When you know you have an
Stand a chance.
infection, when you know you have an infection, is when you start displaying some symptoms of a particular disease condition. For instance, gonorrhea that is very common in men. The symptoms of gonorrhea in men is painful urination or burning pain when urinating. Okay, so these are some of the symptoms
Yeah.
for you to know that you have a sexually transmitted infection and you require medical attention. Also, in women, there are also other sexually transmitted infection that could result as maybe like even also in men like a genital wart. You could see outgrowths on your you could see outgrowth on your genitalias, like an outgrowth on your genitalias or your swelling, or even in syphilis, you could see like swelling that looks like a boil. It looks like this kind of a boil that there's no pus in it. It just comes big, then goes down again, comes up on another spot, then goes down again. Those are the kind of classic symptoms that people infected with syphilis would experience. But this is just a brief overview of what people can experience when they have sexually transmitted disease. And also, specifically in women, they will have symptoms like lower abdominal pain, and this is very common when they leave this infection untreated. Some could have painful urination too. Some could have also smelly discharge too. So these are things that could be associated with sexually transmitted infection. And also for some other kind of sexually transmitted infection like HIV, they could be asymptomatic. What do I mean by asymptomatic? As they normally dub in the street, HIV no dey show for face. That means when you sleep with someone or have an unprotected sex with someone who is HIV positive, there is a high risk, very, very high risk of you contracting the virus. And you would not know you have contracted this virus, most likely for the first 6 months, because it's most likely in the latent, the dormant phase, and you might not start showing symptoms. So you might start showing symptoms after a while when your immune system can no longer um, uh, defend against the virus. So in some cases of
Yeah.
sexually transmitted infection, you see the symptoms within 2 weeks, 1 week, days, while in some cases you can take months for you to see the first symptoms. But in all, most importantly, when you have infection, or when you feel like you have the sexually transmitted infection, it is not for you to dive into taking antibiotics or for you to dive into taking drugs to cure yourself. You need to seek medical attention. Also, to add, it is very important that if peradventure you have sexual exposure to someone you perceive, unprotected sex with someone you perceive have any form of infection, it is important to seek medical attention because there could be means of preventing you from contracting such infection. I can use HIV as an example. For people who have been exposed to HIV positive patients, there is a possibility of them not getting the virus if they start on the exposure prophylaxis of HIV within the next 48 hours of their exposure. Also, if you also feel you must have exposed yourself to someone with a particular bacterial infection, there's also a possibility of using antibiotics as prophylaxis. But most importantly, it is not for you to go ahead and start swallowing these pills. Because if you swallow them without medical guidance, instead of prophylaxis, it might complicate your issue and you won't get a protection against the infection you are trying to protect. And you get the infection, then you cause more future complications for yourself, such as antibiotic resistance. I think, yeah, this is it. So,
All right.
also, yeah, sorry, that'll be all.
So, all right. We have gone through that to see how the symptoms can be contracted, and we've seen that the best way for you to, after you have had unprotected sex, is to seek medical advice. So, it's left for you to know the HIV status of your sexual partner, your wife, your husband, and it's also enough for you to ensure that you are truthful and you're transparent, so you don't go get HIV somewhere.
I think
And then,
sorry,
and then,
sorry to cut you short. I feel like I have like a broad um, definition of how I was supposed to say it earlier on the steps you can take
yeah,
to prevent
yeah,
contracting an infection through sex or through the act of sex. Um,
Yeah.
According to the National Agency for the Control of AIDS and some other world agencies that are involved in trying to prevent HIV/AIDS and all forms of sexually transmitted disease, we have given the acronym on how to prevent STIs as A, B, C, D. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you what this letter stands for. The first letter, abstain, which is A, is to what? Abstain from sex before marriage.
Okay.
And the letter B stands for be faithful to one partner.
So if you
And
cannot abstain, you should be
faithful to
one
one
partner.
partner which you know their sexual and health status. Do you understand?
All right.
A, abstain from sex before marriage. B, be faithful to one partner which you know their sexual and health information. That means before you go into having unprotected sex and be faithful to a partner, you need to know if they are HIV positive or HIV negative. That means you need to do a medical test to ascertain that they are fit and they are free of any form of sexually transmitted diseases. So that's B.
Yeah.
Then C is the correct and consistent use of condoms. Should in case you cannot stay away from sex before marriage, should in case you cannot be
Be
faithful to
faithful.
one partner which who you know their health and sexual status, correct and consistent use of condoms. And when I mean correct, you can use a condom. If you don't use it right, you still get infected. And then
Okay.
there's this thing that's very common amongst people in Nigeria or most young men when they are having sex with the lady who they have not they are meeting for the first time. They start with the condom, and in the middle of the sex, they say, "I'm not feeling it." They remove the condom and go in raw.
What are you not feeling? Is it
Sorry,
malaria?
I'm talking
I
about.
said, what are they not feeling? What are they
Yeah,
not feeling?
there's a general conception that sex is not pleasurable with condom, right? So they meet a lady, they don't know their health status or sexual status. They start with condom, then in the middle of the sex, because maybe they want to experience more sexual pleasure, they want to climax a little, or maybe the girl beckons them to take away the condom because maybe one of the party in the sex finds it inconvenient, then they remove it and they go ahead and have sex. That doesn't count as you having used the
But
condom.
I think just as that condom not confuse the HIV, like the HIV is confused.
Yeah, the condom will confuse the HIV into your system. And no. That's not right. That's not right. That's why the
Okay.
C stands for correct and consistent use of condoms. And D, detect early and treat appropriately. So peradventure
All
you
right.
realize that you've had sexual exposure with someone, you later realize their health status. First of all, you seek medical attention. Then, if peradventure you are infected, you treat appropriately. Because some of these diseases, although they might be very, they are health risk, but if treated appropriately and in time, it is very much possible to manage them and for people to still lead a normal life. Yeah. Thank you.
So, thank you very much for all the information you're giving to us. So, um, this is like one of my last questions, but I
Okay.
want you to tell us how then, you just explain anyway, summarize from all you have been telling us. How then do we practice safe sex? You just
Okay.
mentioned condom. Is there any other thing we need to know about safe sex you can let us know?
Well, I would say, coming from the medical point of view and how I feel sex is it's a part of it's a part of every human. And there's also an argument, according to the Abraham Maslow's theory of need, that sex is a basic need. So yeah, sex is a basic need because practically it feels like everybody needs sex. But what is most important is how to have safe sex. Most importantly, before you ask yourself if you are convinced on having sex, either within a relationship or outside a relationship, you need to know if you are having a safe sex. And the first step is to know the health status of the person you intend to have this sex with. Also,
Okay.
it's also advisable for you to have sex with your clear mind. What do I mean?
Clear
With
mind. What
with
do I
your
mean? Clear mind. What?
yes, you shouldn't
With
indulge
your
in
what?
sex or shouldn't put yourself in a situation where you can indulge in sex when you are either intoxicated with alcohol or any other form of drugs, because this could lead to unsafe sex. Because you wouldn't know if the person is using protection, you wouldn't know what the person is doing at that point. So it is important that you guide yourself from indulging into sexual activities when you are intoxicated either on alcohol or any form of drugs. So first of all, if you have decided to have sex, first of all, choose a partner, and when you choose a partner, know their health status. In an event you don't know their health status, use a condom, and do not have sex when you don't want to. Do not have sex due to peer pressure. Do not have sex because everybody is doing it. Do not have sex when you are confused. And also for everybody out there, to guys and to men out there, do not have sex with people who are unconscious, who are not conscious of their environment. It is very wrong to have sex with someone who is intoxicated on alcohol or any form of drugs. It is always important that anybody seek consent before sex. And when I mean consent, it does not mean body reaction. It does not mean because the person was high and you were touching him, you now responded and you now went in. No, you can be putting yourself at risk and also putting the person at risk. Before anybody should indulge in sex, there should be an agreement and consent before going to the sex. Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. Thank you. So there should be an agreement and consent before going to the sex. You may as well get a document for the person to sign.
Well, the way the world is going now, if you can get a document, you-
For the person to sign, say, I agree to have sex, sign, put date and stamp, then you take it to the Ministry of Interiors to document. So that's that for that. And then lastly, our last question for David before we end this session. Thank you very much. I've really been very, I've learned a lot anyway. The ABCD is something I think I learned that when I was in secondary school. I forgot about it, but it just reminded me. I think I should be able to use that to cancel most of my clients who come around to seek counsel on sex. So the last question is there are possible there are fake news.
fake
What
news.
or fake news about sex. There are fake news about sex. There are things that are not real that people say about sex. For example, I think one of them I know is they say if you have sex with somebody, um, that person's spirit has entered into you. So
Mm,
if you have sex with a prostitute, the prostitute spirit has entered into you,
mm,
and then you will not be able to enjoy sex with somebody else
mm.
again. I've really met somebody. I met a patient like that, and the patient was telling me that the reason why he does not get pleasure from sex is because the first person he had sex with is in
Mm-hmm.
Benue State or another state, not in Edo State, and then he's looking for how to get back to that person. If there's any drug I can give to him to help him enjoy sex now until he goes
Okay.
back to Benue. So I had to take time to encourage him and say it does not happen like that. He's actually a drunkard. I had to tell him, okay, alcohol can actually be affecting your sexual pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
and many other things. So,
Mm-hmm.
are there any other fake news you know about? Maybe you can share two or three with us that is actually going around about sex that are not true.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. I don't the concept of the fact that someone was not able to have pleasure with sex with the new partner because of the previous partner. I mean, there are no things to explain about. Sex is a highly psychological and mental action, and maybe the
Yeah,
psychologists will have a contrary opinion. Also,
yeah,
but then we won't dwell on that, but we'll just dwell on the common misconception concerning sex. Um, First of all, everybody is not having sex. There's a general misconception that everybody is having sex. Mm-mm. If you want to have sex, think through it and do it the right way. Don't have sex because everybody is having sex.
yeah, yeah. Thank you very
That's
much. I think that's very
two.
important.
Sex is different from pornography. Most people have this conception that pornography is like what sex is. No, they're actually two different things. Pornography is fantasy. Sex is real. When you have sex, you could either enjoy it or enjoy it for the rest of your life. So don't be fascinated by what you watch in pornography and engage in sex. You might be disappointed.
Wow. Wow.
Two, you cannot tell if your partner has STI. They know the right hand from face. I've seen someone before that said that no, that he has never had sex with condom in his life. That if he see person, sorry, I have to use the word in pidgin English. If I see person we get HIV, I they know. It is so sad that this is coming from a medical personnel. You see, if you see person we get HIV, they know.
Are
That's
you serious?
very wrong. Also, as regarding sex, nobody is allergic to condom. Don't let anybody deceive you that I don't use condom. I don't use it. My body doesn't accept it. That's not true. If you are allergic to rubber, they are non-latex condoms. Also, one proper misconception about sex is that when the boy and the girl have sex, it is the girl's responsibility to see whatever to continue and solve the problem. No. When two people agree to have sex, it is their joint responsibility to ensure they have safe sex. And if there's any other resulting issues after the sex, they both take care of it. And also, let me also quickly chip this in. In cases of when you realize that you're having an infection, maybe you have a faithful partner, it's always important to carry your partner along when you seek medical treatment. Because if you are having
Yeah.
consistent sex with one person and you're infected with a particular infection, say as simple as gonorrhea, then you treat yourself. Maybe the infection is coming from your partner. You go back home and you have sex with your partner again. I mean, it's just burning your candles at both ends and not solving the problem. And also, I'm trying to recall these very common myths now that I cannot remember. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to remember the myth now. Sorry, let me check. Mm,
Okay.
uh, um, I mean, there's no specific one now, but there are very many myths out there. Like some people believe having sex makes your teeth sag. Some people believe having premarital sex makes you infertile. Some people believe I mean, there are different beliefs. There's some people believe that when you have sex with one person, that it's not possible for you to have sex with another person. It's not possible. Some people also believe that when you have sex, your destiny is tied to one person. Me, I cannot fully explain that they are spiritual. To the best of my understanding, according to what we learn from science and pharmacy, there is no correlation between spiritual and sex is completely a physical act, a physical contact between two persons that involves penetration of the genitalias into one another. So that's just it. I'm trying to remember one very common misconception about sex that I
And there's also the one of after having sex, you can take ampiclos one
Yes,
capsule
yes, yes, yes. They feel like
to
when you take
eliminate.
it, it's going to flush your system. That is wrong. You are complicating your situation. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think there are very many interesting myths surrounding sex. I just couldn't get my uh, hand around it. I also say a time when I used to be a medical representative in Lagos, Nigeria. I was talking to a reproductive specialist, and he was like very confident, like it's a reproductive specialist, a gynecologist, he's into assisted reproductive techniques and all that. He was like, there is no correlation between the number of times you had sex and infertility. People also believe that if a woman is infertile, they say that because say, you don't walk around very well. There's no correlation in that case. It's a
Yeah.
myth.
Yeah.
You see, if it's so, I wouldn't know why a prostitute will get pregnant because so yes. So there's no correlation between that too. Yeah, I think that's
It's all
basically.
right.
There are very more interesting myths surrounding sex, but anybody will also always put a question down in the comment section then we can
Yeah.
reply
All right.
when we have time.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, David. Thank you. Our time is off right now. We tentatively scheduled for this show. My viewers, I really appreciate staying with us for this time. If you have any question for David, you can drop it in the comment section. I'll reach out to him. Once he responds, I'll put it in the reply of your comment in the YouTube video. This is safe text. Ensure you abide to what you have learned here today so that you don't have any difficulty dealing with any chronic disease later in life. However, if you already have that chronic condition, you should visit a hospital. If you have any quick question to ask about that chronic condition, you can drop a question, the comment section, drop a question in the comment section. Or if you need a privacy, you can check in the bio to this video, a link to my WhatsApp is there. You can just click it and you'll be directly in my DM and you can ask any questions confidentially and I will address it for you. So that is that for that. Thank you very much, David, and see you some other time when I'm in the mood. Meanwhile, every of my videos you keep collecting, keep collecting. I like your quotes.
Yeah, I'm very sure
I'll
I'll
keep
be
you.
able to convince and not to confuse your viewers that Black David is black, but doesn't think about black stuff that you normally see on your channel.
All right. Thank you very much, my brother. See you next time. Bye bye.